Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 381. This is your guide to the geek side. And I am one of your hosts, Todd Oxtra, in parts unknown. Joined by Charlie Carden in places known.
Todd moved to a place so unknown, it was like 2 miles away from his house. He told me, still won't give me his address though, because he knows I'm going to show up. I'm going to show up with like a 6-pack of PBR and some pork rinds, and
you'll show up with your RV and unload the shitter.
Yes. Hey, Merry Christmas, shitter's full.
After you made a bad deal on cosplay gear and lost your house in the deal.
Cos gear. I know. I almost had that Orville uniform sold this week. Some guy in a group said, yeah, I'd want one, but he was a little guy who was too big for him, which is too bad. So it just still sits in a tub in the garage.
The Orville.
I tell you, I won't even bother to watch that show after seeing it return. But something that I would not fail to waste my time on, meaning I would waste my time, is and I picked this one. This was me. This is a continuation of the comic cover from last week. This is last week we had Action Comics 380. Now we have Action Comics 381. This is still from 1969, October of 1969. Superman decides to throw down and directly in front of the United Nations declares himself dictator of Earth. He brought his own flagpole. Do you see him driving it into the ground? He's not going to take down another flagpole. He's going to be like, here's mine. No more United Nations. My Superman banner will replace all other flags. I'm taking over the whole world. Well, how's it going to bounce back from this one? I don't know.
It must be on like the pink kryptonite or something that's causing him to go crazy. Yes, case of the crazies. But you know what? For 15 cents an issue, I'm sure it was jam-packed with good storytelling, great characterization, and world-changing events. And nothing and nothing stayed the same after that issue.
Nothing that was easily erased by the events of Crisis, which was like 25 years later.
Correct.
So
Correct.
Yeah, good stuff. But yes, the ever loving purveyor of good stuff when it comes to this show would be our senior news correspondent, our gal who's got all of the good news that's fit to print or pull off the internets. That's right, I'm talking about our aged gal, Madam Webb, with her rumors and news. So without further delay, Madam Webb, take it away.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's rumors and news. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. We are Madam Webb. Actually, Charlie, she is my first guest. She actually was sleeping in the pod all along. She was breaking into the pod every night, unaware. She'd go out, get a bucket, a jug of water, and a bag of McDonald's hamburgers, and she would sneak in at night and sneak out during the day. Who knew that she was slumming in my storage pod?
When times are tough, times are tough. I totally understand. But anyway, she did bring us some fat tidbits this week, including something that certainly our shared cosplay husband, Mark, is very excited about. That is a rumor, rumors, that the star of the Jedi Fallen Order video game, which came out 3 years ago, 2019 maybe. Cal Kestis, portrayed by my Irish brother, Cameron Monaghan, could be getting his own Disney Plus series. Now, Todd, I know that you love things that play in that post-Clone Wars space. So how does this make you feel? And you're a gamer, so have you played the game?
Oh, yeah. I love the game. Yeah, it was actually a really great just Star Wars story. He was one of the Jedis that was, trying to stay undercover, and they introduced a lot of new characters. And that's what I really like. It really didn't play into, so-and-so showed up. And so, no, it was like, these were almost all exclusively new characters and characters you didn't know their fate. So it was like, what's going to happen? Where's it going to show? And, as we're finding in Star Wars, Charlie, seems like there's a lot more Jedis and former...
That would be Jedi. It's like...
Okay, so whatever. Geese, goose, mice, meese, moose. So yeah, he's another Jedi that was just undercover and having adventures, and we are getting the new game, which is called
Right.
Survivor. It takes 5 years after the first game.
Put it in between or put it after.
Somewhere in that. So I'm not sure if this is going to be a straight adaptation. They'll play fast and loose. They'll tell other adventures because this character is basically an open book because we've only seen the one game. Yeah, it's great. So
my experience with those games, as you know, this plus Battlefront, is I enjoy the cutscenes, little films that I can watch on YouTube. So I like this one too. I watched it again recently when I know we went through it with a guest on Holocron, so I'm like, I better educate myself again. So I watched it. And those cutscene films are about 2 hours, so it's like watching a film. It's like watching a movie in the theater, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, the only thing you're missing is the beating up of things and a big bat.
Right.
That big bat creature, if you saw that in the clips. Yeah.
Okay.
It was cool.
I guess I'll have to watch it a few more times. But anyway, even if this is rumored, it gets announced, it's not been produced, there's a lot of stuff in front of it. So this would be something I would think if it was announced tomorrow that we wouldn't see it till 2025, tops.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends. I mean, the story's ready to go. Like you said, if they just use the cutscenes and they've got basically storyboarded, everything's done. They just have to, and they already have their lead actor. And then some of the other actors in it. So essentially, I mean, this could be fast tracked and be done pretty quick.
Well, I guess I would find it unusual that they would just make an adaptation, that they wouldn't turn it into some kind of a original story. But then again, for the uninitiated, they would be like, "Who the hell is this guy?" So yeah, that might limit things. Yeah, boy, now that you say it, I guess I could see it either way. I don't know. You know what? This is one for Twitter. I would certainly like to hear. Hit us up at Secret on Twitter or at the C3, which is me, or our partner Mark the Canardian. Let us know what you think about that. I could see it both ways. I'd much rather see an original story, but that might serve to alienate the uninitiated, and that's not something that they would want to do. So, anyway, that would be cool. So moving on, Disney. Short story, buys and absorbs 20th Century Fox. So what does that mean? Everything that's Fox gets turned into Disney. And what else does Disney own? Little comic book publisher called Marvel. Now, we've already seen Marvel adapt Aliens, which was a Fox property, into its own limited series. Right? I don't keep up, so I don't know that it's ongoing, but I know they did something. But now they're bringing back those damn Dirty Apes, which they had back in the 1970s as a black and white magazine before it, kind of passed into the ethos. That's coming back to Marvel. That's going to be happening next year. Looks like Boom Studios and Malibu Comics were some of the other holders of the license.
Wow. Malibu Comics. I remember in Malibu, they tried to be a big deal, and then they were acquired by Marvel, acquired them, and I don't think they've done anything with those characters.
Malibu had, it's funny you should say Marvel acquired them, because Malibu had Deep Space Nine. And that was the only Star Trek title they had. The other Treks were, and so much were at DC in the 90s. Yeah. So much that when they crossed the two over, it was a DC Malibu joint project. So to hear that they eventually became part of Marvel, as much as I would just love to see Star Trek back in Marvel, not that I don't think IDW has produced some good stuff. I just, I like my Marvel. But anyway, Todd, where do you sit with Planet of the Apes? Have you kept up? Have you seen the different films?
I think, to be honest, I think the only beyond the Chuck Heston original, and then the horrible Mark Wahlberg, Tim Burton one. Yeah. I've not seen any other Planet of the Apes. It's a franchise that I find like, okay, I just have no passion for it, and it seems like, it's more Planet of the Apes. Okay,
Todd, you not having passion for something, color me unimpressed.
I guess. I mean, after Abraham Lincoln, they can't top that, man. And then the Planet of the Apes musical. I mean, that's all I need, really.
I hate every ape. I say, sing it with me, Todd. From chimpanzee to chimpanzee.
Help me, Dr. Zayas. Help me, Dr. Zayas. Yes. So there we go. I mean, you know what? If you like it, apparently it can always be retold. I know they did some wacky things with Beneath the Planet of the Apes. They did a TV series. They had a cartoon. They were Mego figures. So you know what? It's obviously an evergreen franchise that,
Everybody, it's like, apes and robots, robots, and big lizards. Tell me that there's not a space in the zeitgeist for those three things at any
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Without
So you know what? If you like to see some apes who potentially could throw poo at you or read a book, go see and read these books.
Poo
there you
at
go.
you, Scooby-Doo. All right, what do we got next?
Yeah, so Charlie, you picked this story, and I found it weird and odd. Doesn't make a lot of sense. I did not know Nerf did not have a mascot. I thought their mascot was the basketball, the Nerf hoop basketball.
I thought you were saying like Wilson was the volleyball mascot. Wilson from
No, I just thought it was a ball because the Nerf ball was like the thing.
Right.
But Nerf is like kind of reinvented itself with like Nerf guns. That's like the big thing now. It's huge. It's everywhere.
Fantastic. They're very big for cosplayers to buy and paint.
I did that with Logan had one of his. He did Destiny. He did that same thing with that. He painted a Nerf gun. It's because they're kind of cool looking weapons, and they've brought back a lot of the lines too. Like I think there's a Halo battle rifle. There's other. I don't know. Has there been Star Wars like blasters that were Nerf too? Maybe.
Totally. And, they much like anything with Hasbro, there's recently been like Mando's huge rifle and it was super overpriced. And they've done, of course, the, regular Stormtrooper blaster and Han Solo's blaster. Really real iconic, looking Star Wars guns. So, yeah.
Yeah. And they do even do like balls and different things. They fire a billion rounds. And my son, I think I found Nerf bullets around our house for like years. There's one behind they're just everywhere, and hopefully your cats or dogs don't eat them.
You're finding them as you unpack boxes.
But yes,
you don't even know how they got in there.
But the real reason we're talking about Nerf is because they now have a mascot, and his name is Murph. Murph. Well, and he's made entirely out of those Nerf bullets.
The Nerf bullet, and shame on the good folks at Viacom Paramount for not trademarking Murph, who is of course the gelatinous character from Star Trek Prodigy, because now that opens up the possibility for a crossover. Yeah, so Murph the Nerf is just the bullets, the Nerf bullets, and a tank top. No pants, and bright orange Nerf
shoes.
Doc shoes, basically.
Well, I imagine they're probably like Crocs, I assume. Nerf should make shoes now, I think is what we're saying.
I think that all this. So you know what? Look for the Funko of Murph coming your way in 2023. I know. I thought it was a dumb story. I just saw Seth Meyers lampooned on a YouTube clip I was watching before we got on here. Nightmare fuel all the living.
I hope we just get a whole family of Nerf people. Right. Murph and Sturf and Glurf. I don't know.
Glurf.
I'm making up names. I don't know. There's not a lot of Earth names for people.
Unfortunate body.
Yeah, we'll have to talk to. Well, let's see if Patrick knows anything or can get us maybe some Murph merch. Murph merch.
Yeah. Good. Hit up your boy Patrick. Let's see what he can get accomplished. Anyway, moving on. Back to something near and dear to my heart: the Spider-Man. We got Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse coming up. Geez, is it later this year or is it into next year?
It's 2023. Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That animation takes a damn long time. Got to move all the little things around.
It's 5 years. That'll be a 5 year gap, essentially.
Did that come out in 2018?
Did come out in 2018. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But anyway, the continuing adventures of Miles Morales crossed over with Oscar Isaac as Spider-Man 2099. We've seen trailers so far, but teased recently by the director of the film, whose name I'm hunting for, Joaquin Dos Santos, teased the appearance of a not so classic Spider-Man villain from the 1980s. That would be the Spot. Jonathan, I can never pronounce his name, Ohn, Ohnn. He worked for the Kingpin in his lab, trying to create powers, and what he did is he managed to somehow cover himself in this weird goo where he was just white with black spots on him, and each of the spots led to an alternate dimension called Spot World. So he could, like I said, I'm not making this up. It's all right here. Yep. So this is going to be incorporated into, according to, it's not even a tweet, according to a quote of some variety, Yeah, it's living ink. It's artistry come to life. You can imagine Spot as a dude in a sock suit in a live action film that's not going to work. He's an inkwell spelled on a page. It's the sort of thing that goes into comic.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty spot on.
Oh, and Jason Schwartzman is going to be playing Spot. Yes, it'll be very cool. And I mean, the thing that we love about the movie is it's a fantastic movie, but the visual style was so unique and different. And adding a villain who, like you said, Inkwell, just makes you think, wow, they're going to do some really crazy, cool effects in this movie. Definitely a movie I need to watch again. I've only seen it once, and
I've got it in Tata. If it doesn't stream, it's on my Voodoo. I'm not sure where it's at these days.
Sure, it's somewhere, everywhere. Yeah. I think Netflix gets all the Spidey films now, so I'm sure.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you just don't see. Netflix has become such a powerhouse of original content. I just don't know what's there.
No,
so it's always kind of a surprise.
You can never figure it out. There's no ways to find out.
On your Roku, you simply go to the search function and type in the thing, and it tells you a couple places where it's
or
at.
Use your voice remote and even say it, and it'll search, which is nice. I like the voice remote. It's very cool.
Did you say the voice remote?
Remote, yes, remote. Yes, I'm very classy. I say things differently. Yes, right. Yes. Okay, right. Well, that is going to be coming soon, but something that we don't know if it's coming soon is...
Hey, it's the fastest man alive getting the F out of here.
You know what slows him down? Controversy and doing creepy, weird stuff, and that is Ezra Miller, who I believe is non-binary, goes by they, them, and Ezra is an odd bird, the best way to say this. We saw footage of Ezra, like, acting weird at a bar, assaulting someone. We've got, basically, he was charged twice in Hawaii recently for disorderly conduct and second-degree assault. He was accused of physically and emotionally abusing an 18-year-old named Gibson, who Miller first met when Gibson was 12 years old. Creepy. And then there's another restraining order against him for another person. Yeah. And another person who I believe is Native American, essentially grooming this person. And then now no one can find him, or they, I believe. So it's Ezra. Yeah. So it's complicated, folks. Pronouns are not my forte. Yeah. So all along the way, Warner Brothers knows they have a problem, and they have a new Warner Brothers is now merged with Discovery, and that chief of this new media magnet, or whatever you want to call it. It's huge.
Magnate.
Yes, David Zaslav. And he was hoping that this was going to be a big thing because he wants more DC movies. He wants Superman to be a bigger part of the DC universe. And the fact that this was getting so much hype because of Michael Keaton, really kind of doing some weird alternate universe things as well. Flashpoint, all of those cool things. I mean, people were very excited about this movie, but now what are they going to do? $200 million into this movie. You just don't throw that away. So Charlie, they've got to hope that something completely changes in a year's time, that this will be off the radar. He's got some help, changed his ways, does a mea culpa, something like that. Or they could basically underplay him, put the movie out, and it really is the focus becomes all about Michael Keaton, which is, that was going to be a surprise. Or they dump it on HBO Max, which I just, and the CEO is basically does not want to do that anymore. He doesn't want to spend a lot on things that go direct to HBO Max because it's like, it doesn't bring in the big bucks. You want multiple sources of revenue. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So
that's a tough sell to the investors that are looking at that.
Exactly.
Those big numbers, which you're not be, we streamed X number of block. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
It's enough of an untraditional model. that is like, well, this made $1 billion at the box office, like Top Gun. That's a big success, but it's like this was the most streamed thing from this date to this date. It just doesn't really the juice doesn't get the squeeze.
I mean, you get subscribers, but it may only get subscribers for a little bit of time versus, you get that second hit, right? It goes to the movies and it comes in, like Doctor Strange is now on Disney Plus. So they get potentially somebody wants to see Doctor Strange but didn't want to see it in the movie theater. They subscribe to Disney Plus, get $3. So, so along with all of this, then people said, well, why don't they just replace him and reshoot it? And I'm like, you can't reshoot a whole. I mean, that's impossible to do. They would have to redo the whole film. I mean, you can only do so much in post.
Solo, but you can't redo the film if you can't track down the star he's missing. He's the fugitive. You
could do like de-aging and weird like face stuff. That would look so bad considering Henry Cavill and the mustache removal method did not work well.
Oh no.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then the voice, so I don't know, but I mean, I think we're most assured that this is the only time he'll be playing Flash again. And then other than that, I assume we'll find out, oh, the Flash died. Now it's Wally West.
I have to go back to my own planet, Poochie.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be Wally West because there's been multiple Flashes, so that's an easy fix, right? Yeah.
Super easy fix. So, this will be interesting to see how this is going to play out, but I find it hard to believe that it will play out favorably for Ezra Miller.
I certainly hope Ezra gets help, and if he's hurt, if Ezra has hurt anyone, their justice comes to Ezra.
Yes, accountability and him getting help. Professional help, yes, both things.
Well, we're going to talk about better things in the next segment, Charlie, and that's where we go to our favorite establishment for geeky news and sudsy drinks, and that's the Geek Easy.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting in the Geek Easy, cover band's playing, drinks are poured, and we are ready to get our nerd on. So, Charlie, you saw Pixar's latest film.
I did. I even picked up a couple of the little ships because I liked them so much. I was really enamored with this film. It's funny. So this was Lightyear, and it was great. They kind of got it right out of the way at the beginning and explained, well, what the hell is this? What's going on? And it says, the opening cap says, in 1995, a boy named Andy got a Buzz Lightyear toy for his birthday or whatever it is, and it was based on his favorite. I got a toy based on his favorite film. This is that film. So what we were seeing was a film that came out in 1994, 1995, called Lightyear, about the space rangers. It's the distant future. Humanity is traveling between the stars in essentially big sleeper ships, even though it's at hyperspace. So they're a bajillion miles away from Earth, and it's kind of like Alien. They got woken up because their ship detected a signal, and they go down to a planet and they end up getting stranded. And it's Buzz Lightyear, Captain Buzz Lightyear, and his associate Hawthorne, who is his commanding officer. He ends up getting them stranded, and so even though the ship is intact, it can't take off. So they go through years and years and years of him. Taking the ship and building it and trying to, achieve, light speed again so they can get going. Well, every time he goes, time slows down for him. It's relativistic speeds. Time slows down for him, passes faster on the other planet. And so he goes through these cycles over about 70 years. So obviously his Hawthorne, his associate, passes away. By the time he gets back, Hawthorne's granddaughter is there. And unfortunately, after 70 years, when he arrives again, and again, it's interspersed between, and he also gets a beautiful robotic cat named Socks, who is his emotional support animal, which is, I got to add that to my collection. That's absolutely fantastic. And I think it was voiced by Paul F. Tompkins. At least it sounded like I might have to check. I'd have to check. Lightyear, of course, himself being voiced by Chris Evans. So it's Captain America being Buzz Lightyear, which is terrific. And by the time he gets back after 66 years, there's a big, scary alien spaceship. They're being threatened by Zurg, which if you're Toy Story, that makes sense. But that's all I'm going to say about it. I will go on record as saying my favorite Pixar film since The Incredibles, which was The Incredibles for me, which came out in 2004, is the Fantastic Four movie that we always wanted.
Absolutely.
I thought this was great. It was a fun sci-fi story with some sci-fi twists. Had a little bit of emotion. Had a faux controversy overseas because there was a lesbian couple in it. Oh my God! But it was great. It makes me kind of sad that you, John, and I, in our summer movie challenge, which we talk about almost weekly here on the show, put this a hell of a lot higher than it's going to end up going, because it is dudding its way into the bottom of the top 10.
Yeah, that's a shame. I mean, I've heard mixed reviews about it, and the people are like a little confused by the tone, and I'm like, I think it looks cool. I mean, I will see it on Disney Plus, and Charlie, maybe that's part of it too. We know in 45 days it's going to be on Disney Plus.
True. And, and that didn't really apply to Top Gun, which, as you and I've said time and again, is such a cinematic experience. And yes, that'll be on Paramount Plus in 30 days, I'm sure.
Oh, is it coming soon?
45 days is the window, right? So that's where
I'm not 100% sure on Paramount Plus. I think they do some weird stuff.
That wouldn't be surprising. But regardless, you're right.
Speaking of which, the article says Paramount undecided on when it will stream on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, no shit, because they're making all that big. That movie just toppled over $1 billion, and it outperformed Marvel in a lot of key.
Outperformed Lightyear, right? Or no, Jurassic World did.
You're right. Lightyear did not capture the weekend. No, Top Gun has outperformed Marvel in a lot of sectors, such as week over week, smallest drop, biggest third weekend, fourth weekend. It's just Top Gun is anyway. Let me change gears, talk about how much I love Top Gun. Should go see it again, absolutely. But this one's fun. Go see it at the theater, please. Please support our summer movie wager. We're all really hurting. But in all seriousness,
that could mean if we take the guess of if a movie makes whatever it does in its opening weekend, essentially half of what it'll do.
And as it halves itself as it goes forward,
like it can be $100 million. That's pretty bad. That could be one of the worst, except for maybe the Good Dinosaur. This could be one of the worst performing, which is just crazy considering it's a Toy Story. Maybe it's just the fact that people just are confused and like, I don't understand this.
Right. Could be.
Why is he? Why is it a toy?
And the marketing doesn't really make it at all clear. I don't think so. No. That could be a problem. But anyway, moving on. And Todd, I'm going to preface this that you cannot call filibuster rights talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi, which you did to me a couple of weeks ago. We can talk about it together, but just don't get on a rant. But today was
we can talk about it. Why not?
I know, but
it's just a time crunch.
A couple of weeks ago, I had to try to slide myself in because you're like, blah, 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 blah. So just let's have a conversation. But anyway, Today was the season 1 finale of Obi-Wan Kenobi over there on Disney Plus, episode 6 of 6. We picked up where we left off. Our diligent band of, they're not even really rebels; they're kind of pre-rebels. There's no real rebellion yet. It's kind of it's a bunch of people doing a bunch of stuff, whatever it is. So Ice Cube Jr. Plus. I'm going to draw a blank on the name of who's the other famous actor who was playing the con man?
Oh, Camille Nanjiani.
Camille Nanjiani, yep. And then Obi-Wan and Leia and her cute little droid are trying to escape when Obi-Wan figures out, you know what? I'm going to, he's after me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump in the drop ship and I'm going to take off. I loved it. And, they couldn't get away because their light speed didn't work. Yet on the little shuttle had light speed. So that's plot hole number 1 that was driving me nuts. But
and the fact was that they couldn't I'll chase after him. I'm Vader. I'm going to chase after him. You keep going after them. There was no reason why he couldn't have just followed him in his ship.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Silly.
Yeah, and by then you never hear from the rebel ship again, or they eventually obviously get Leia home because you see her there at the end. Spoilers, by the way, but you already knew that. And it's Friday, and if you haven't watched it already, give me a break. So the most pivotal thing, there's two pivotal points to this episode. The duel between Obi-Wan and Vader, you were expecting it, but it's brutal. It's really brutal. I think it's a really nice payoff. Obi-Wan, good triumphs over evil in the end. Obi-Wan finally gets, after getting buried in a mountain of rubble, he breaks loose. He's totally back in touch with the Force. And
he got his groove back, Charlie, just like Stella.
Exactly. He about puts Vader down. He chops up Vader's respirator and then takes a chunk out of his mask so that you do see Hayden's face. And he said very chillingly, he says, "You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I killed Anakin Skywalker." Little tear in Charlie's eye. I don't want to say it's profound, but it was tough to see him it was tough to see Obi-Wan walk away again, but it was also really pivotal, really quizzical why he didn't then now kill him this time, which he really should have done at the end of episode 3. But you know what?
He won't do anything bad ever again.
Yeah, he's going to die here. He's done. Yeah, he's done.
Yeah.
So it's not like I should cut his head off to make sure this is really over.
Didn't he say that I might have to kill him? I mean, that was like, come on.
He said, I will do what I must, but then he didn't. But I
Which was essentially beat him up a little.
Yeah. Well, and then to look very longingly at the camera, like. Second part is Reva, who is not dead. So she didn't get her injury taken care of. So she saw walking around is like, I overheard that message at the end of the last episode. I'm going to go to Tatooine and I'm going to kill Vader's son that he doesn't know about. For justice.
And then what is she going to do? Like, here's his body, Vader, because he wants to see her again.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, like it's going to work out for her if she goes back and finds him again. And again, here's my other question: how the hell did she even get out of there? I mean, was there some kind of space Uber that she was able to ping? And because you would imagine when the Empire pulled out, they took off. And you don't end up seeing the Grand Inquisitor again in this episode, so whatever.
Saw him for a second, and he said, "Oh, we should not follow him," and then he said, "No, Obi-Wan matters. We will get him."
Oh, yes. You're absolutely right.
Yes.
So at any rate, Reva's on the planet. She chases down the Lars to their homestead, but they're tipped off. So Owen and Beru go full, like, they remind me very much of Michael Gross and Reba McEntire in Tremors with their guns and their assassin. But, ultimately they both
did survived. Better than I thought they would.
and they lived, which, again, Todd, I will lend you this one. And I was talking to our friend Mark. I love Mark. I do a Star Wars show with Mark. Mark does tend to have a little bit of the rosy colored glasses about the Star Wars. I love this episode too, but there were some plot holes in this you could drive a truck through. The fact that, and Todd, I'm gonna piggyback a line off of your own. This was the last act of this was very much no stakes. You knew Owen and Beru were going to be fine, and you knew that Luke was going to be fine, or you would have had no movies that followed it. But in to play devil's advocate, maybe that wasn't really the point. Maybe this was following the arc of Reva from episode 1, where she's unredeemably evil, to the middle, where you find out kind of what her motivation is, and then she gets stabbed by Vader and doesn't die somehow. That she finds her own redemption, and then she has her fireside chat with Obi-Wan at the end, and then she's off to parts unknown. That part I enjoyed, but yeah, the quote unquote high stakes, no risk, high stakes, no stakes of them running around, I found was kind of remotely obnoxious. And in the end, Obi-Wan gets to meet Luke. Hello there, which was, clap you trained seals. And then he wanders off into the desert, and we get a cameo from Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon, which was totally awesome. So it was fun. I was talking with Mark about this. I was in a conversation between John and our friend Derek, who is one of my figure collecting buddies, big Star Wars guy. And it was, I like what John had to say. It was fun. It was flawed. It could have been condensed in like a 2.5 hour movie. Plenty of filler and plot holes. I like it though. I'll probably have to slam the whole thing again in order to do Holocron next week. But I enjoyed it, but again, you're playing with fire anytime you're wedging a story between other story points that are immutable, which is in this case the entire original trilogy. So don't think about it too much. Turn your brain off, just like when you went to go see Top Gun and all the military inaccuracies. Like when my dad told me he loved Top Gun Maverick, I was like, you shut up. Because when we saw the first Top Gun when I was 10, he was like, because my dad was in the Navy. Well, blah, 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 this thing and that thing, blah, 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 this thing and that. My daddy's in his 70s now. He can enjoy a movie. So
because nothing in the Navy changed 20 years after your dad served.
So Todd, you know what? Take a page from my dad's book. Instead of being a grump, just enjoy the movie. There you go.
I did enjoy Top Gun.
Yeah. Enjoy the show. Show.
No, there's good things in this show, but to me it was totally predictable. Had no twists. Had everything's going to happen the way it is, and I'm like, that's okay, but it's like, don't make it out to be the greatest thing ever. It's the best Star Wars ever. That's just people that love Star Wars more than anything else versus having an objectivity. I get that, but please please. The latest, greatest thing is always going to be the newest Star Wars. It's always going to be my newest favorite, and that's everything that ever comes out. Oh, I love Baby Groot. I like this. I like, porgs are great. Yeah, it's the same.
I will tell you that very few people that I know said that about the Book of Boba Fett.
No, that's true. They was like, it's more, it's Ahsoka, and it's more Mando. They love that, but I mean, it had. I liked this. I liked the fights. I liked all of those cool parts of it that essentially were unfortunately such a small part of it, and so much of it was just like long. Leia's got kidnapped again, or long. And I get it that you want to develop Obi-Wan, but I think there's ways to do that aren't just taking their time to do that. There's a way to do it more effectively. I think of like a movie like Logan. That movie was tight and did a lot of emotional journey and delivered in a lot of different ways. This, I felt like, because it was a TV series, it did feel cheap in a lot of ways. It didn't feel like, wow, that's like, if it was done in a movie, I think we would have gotten some better visuals. That one planet they visited that looked like a granite pit. I mean, it's like there wasn't a lot of style to the show either. I just didn't feel like it, except for that one planet they visited. It was a little colorful. I just felt like, it feels gray. I want Star Wars to look beautiful and fantastic. And, the show met my expectations, which unfortunately for Star Wars is pretty low these days. It's like,
it's a standard. And I think you and I had this conversation before that Star Wars is, it's pizza and ice cream. You know what I mean? It's never going to be filet mignon and twice baked Alaska.
But it could be. But it could be. Have higher aspirations, like Star Trek, Charlie. Star Trek used to be.
That's Star Trek. But that's Star Trek.
But Star Trek was very bland for many years, though. It was doing the same thing. And then essentially what does it do? It waters down everything. It makes everything feel kind of weak, and it's just like you're more nostalgic than quality. So I would say that. So, and that's something we actually can address pretty quickly because I didn't have it as a story beat, but Taika Waititi. So I would say I liked Obi-Wan Kenobi enough, but it didn't blow my socks off like other people. That's fine. But Taika Waititi said he's kind of gotten the message that, and he kind of feels this way, Star Wars is stagnant and it needs to grow. And he's looking to do things. He goes, I don't want to meet Chewbacca's grandma. I don't want to do this. He goes, and I'm like, if anybody can do that, it's Taika. I hope he doesn't get pissed off by Disney when they try to control him.
I mean, look what he was able to pull off with Thor. Yeah. I mean, Thor had a meh first movie. It had a second movie.
Absolutely.
And then we got Ragnarok and it was like, this is fun. And then Love and Thunder, because again, you paired it up with Guardians of the Galaxy, which I get a feeling it may be a smaller part of that film, but regardless, Guardians of the Galaxy is all about fun. Yeah. I think that movie's really going to blow it away. It's not going to do Top Gun money, but I'm very excited for it. But anyway, moving on to the second beat of this, and you tagged it about the possibility of a second season, and I addressed this in Holocron, which just came out today on Wednesday. This headline simply says, Star Wars boss considering Obi-Wan Kenobi season 2 if fans really want it. I would say I was
is water wet?
Yeah, I would say that I cannot say that I'm of two minds about this because I'm absolutely one mind about this. Absolutely not. I think this did as much as it should do. And Obi-Wan needs to spend the next 9 years sitting on his ass in his little Tatooine trailer park house, because he's just really not supposed to do anything more. So I don't want to be like, well, I'm still watching Luke, but I'm gonna Reva shows up and now we've got to go find the Star Wars equivalent of the Ark of the Covenant. I don't know. I don't want to see it.
You know what? Youngling quest. Like I'm going to find all the younglings that might have survived.
Yeah, like, oh, I just found this new list in this thing, and Dr. Afra shows up. Well, she'd be too young, but regardless, you know, it was just like, now we're going to do this and that is blah, blah. No, it's just Obi-Wan, boom, he had a shot. Yeah. It was what it was, but, move on to the next thing.
Because you can't bring back Vader again, because why? Because Vader already got his ass kicked twice by Obi-Wan. It's kind of, what's the point? It's pointless. It's just people.
Well, it's going to be another whooping. And I said this to April as we were talking, and it was funny. Even April broke out. She actually echoed there's no stakes to this as we were watching the finale. I'm like, that's what Oxtra always says. And in this case, he's absolutely right. But I made the point that when Obi-Wan and Vader have their final duel, Vader doesn't really beat him. Obi-Wan surrenders so that Luke and Leia can escape. Vader never really beat him except for that one time that he dragged his ass through the fire and stuff. But I would say by the end of the series that Obi-Wan definitely beat him a bit more because he had him hobbling on the ground.
He was showing some cool abilities too, like all of those stones behind him. He was throwing.
Yeah,
that was very cool.
Yeah, that was something that we've only seen, in The Last Jedi, Rey move the rock
doing
so the rest of the rebels could escape, but that's it. He didn't do the Jesus move where he picked him up and was like, that was pretty sweet.
Yeah. Charlie, I think you're exactly right. I don't think they need a sequel because I just don't know what they would actually achieve with it.
Right.
It's not like Obi-Wan didn't have any episodes in the Clone Wars. Yeah. Or any episodes. Yeah,
he had plenty of his. Not only was he in nearly every episode of that, but he had great story arcs. He had the rise and fall of his relationship with Duchess Satine of Mandalore. That was a great storyline. He had the stuff with Maul. That was a great storyline. So yeah, Obi-Wan is just let him be done. It's okay.
Yeah.
Or let him somehow show up in the Bad Batch. I don't know. Well, then no, that wouldn't really work either. But if it makes sense for him to guest in something else set in the same time period, like he did in Rebels, which was set 2 years before A New Hope. Why not?
I have an idea. Yeah. People seem to be fans of Reva. Maybe just make it a Reva series, and she could kind of be mentored by him, but not with him, but more communications, things like that.
So little cameos, but he's on the other side of a TV screen kind of deal.
Yeah, that could work, and then maybe make it an Inquisitor series. Where she maybe tries to take out the Inquisitors or something like. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of it doesn't have to be a sequel, but could have him in it and still be, but he wouldn't be the focus because I think his story is now told.
I would absolutely say, and I'm sure I'll echo this also on when we talk about it on Holocron. I think there's a great potential for her to have the story as well. So anyway. Yeah. Wrapping up, let's move on to talking about your stuff, and I will chime in as well.
Yes. So, Miss Marvel, I did not get a chance to watch episode 3 today because I worked at the office. So, really, the first 2 episodes. We talked about episode 1 last week. Episode 2, wow, they covered a lot of things. We got our training montages. We got a lot about Pakistani Muslim life in just. Talking about discrepancies in the way women and males are treated, even in the house of worship, the women are segregated. They're in a crappier place. We get new characters introduced, and it was funny that, Charlie, when the one romance item came up, Chris says he's a plant. And I'm like, really? You think? I'm like, totally. Yeah, so totally nailed it. But and then we got really seeing that training montage was really cool. And we did find out that the device actually doesn't do anything. It just really unlocked her powers. But she is the sole provider of it, or enhances her powers. So that's kind of cool because it then takes away anybody could use her powers.
Right. So, like the Iron Man suit. Yeah. Like put on a suit or whatever. Yeah. So it actually does. It actually does do that up. So episode 3 definitely goes in a different direction. I'll tell you that much. Enjoy the series. Again, it's not for me, so I wouldn't say I'm not the audience, so I wouldn't say it was hyper drilled into it the way that I am with other Marvel shows. Like I'm really.
It's more like a rom-com in a lot of ways, or a teen comedy, which is fun. Right. I enjoy those, and quite honestly, Chris is eating this up. She loves Miss Marvel. She loves the character and everything. So this is like one of her she actually wants to watch this. She watched a little bit of Obi-Wan. She's like, oh yeah, it's Obi-Wan, and so this one really called to her.
Right. Well, good. Hey, you know what? That's where it's at.
That's what Marvel does really well. They do something for everybody. Every character is a little bit different. Yeah.
And that's what Phase 4 has really pulled off. We've got Moon Knight. We've gotten Hawkeye, obviously Hawkeye, and certainly Captain America and Falcon for the fans of the nittier grittier. Punch 'em ups.
WandaVision going really crazy. Loki, exploring some of those multiverse things that are going on. Right. So yeah, it's a little bit of everything for everyone. Yeah, it's a very fun show and it's short. So that's another fun thing. It's like you don't have to. Good. Yeah.
Sure, it's good. But yeah, moving on to this next one, Mama. I said to April because I watched this. I watched this in the hotel room because I was gone overnight last Thursday and woke up and watched this. Do you see those pictures of that ridiculous hotel room I had last week?
Yes, you had the boardroom.
I checked into this hotel in Chesterfield Township, was in Macomb County here in Michigan. And for some reason, they put me in the conference suite. So I walk into this room, which is 3 times the size of a normal hotel room with a conference table and a pull down bed. And I'm like, should I have a cocaine party with a bunch of sorority girls? I don't know. I didn't do that.
Want to have your coworkers in your room? That's just it doesn't work in these times.
With 2 beds too, you know, and it wasn't even an old hotel. It was weird. But anyway, yeah, I watched this episode, and
we're talking about The Boys, folks. Boys, episode 5. Yes.
Yeah, we this is you though. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So The Boys, you know, the big premise this season has been Homelander's essentially now Donald Trump because he's saying whatever he wants. He is now he's now taken down Vought with the help of his adopted daughter, who was the head burster. And essentially, Homelander is, we just feel that he's on the verge of doing something really, really, really bad.
Yeah, he's gonna drop the pretense and just start blowing people's heads off.
Yeah, and if they take an action against him, he said, "What are you going to do?" "I could take out 1 million people." And they're like, "That's right." So they have to find something to take him down, because even the things that the blackmail they had, he could care less now. He has enough people that would love him, like our former president says, "I could shoot someone and I wouldn't go to jail." He could kill 1 million people and they wouldn't care. They would still elect him for, CEO of the year. Exactly. So one of the premises was that we thought there might be a weapon that could take him down, and we found out that this is indeed Soldier Boy. And Soldier Boy, Jensen Ackles. Yeah. He's in a lab, just very much like the Winter Soldier. He's bearded up, and you saw the horrible things they did to him, experimentation. And man, oh man, he's a bad, bad man. And he's now got these powers to essentially take away Soup's abilities.
Right. Yeah, which he did.
And murder them.
What's the young lady's name? Is it Miko?
Miko, yeah.
Miko, who doesn't speak. Yeah, he zapped her and took away her Wolverine powers. So now she's just normal. And
I will say, Charlie, that one scene, though, the musical scene, was fantastic. Totally unexpected.
I liked it, and Todd, I know you love musicals. But yeah, one hallmark of this episode is you have to see somebody horribly burned or exploded. And they did that with... what's her butt, who played Andrea on The Walking Dead, who was...
Crimson Cowell, I don't know what her name is.
Yeah.
Scarlet Siren.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, the Soldier Boy's old girlfriend, he breaks in and she's tied up because the boys are trying to get information out of her. And she says, "Well, we hated you, so I sold you out to the Russians." And he just nukes her and then walks away. So yeah, obviously it's Soldier Boy is going to be the key. So now they have to find a way to harness him to zap Homelander to make Homelander go away. And I have no idea if that's what happened in the comics, but it seems like that's what they're working on.
Yeah, I probably need to read the rest of the run, because I'd like to see if they're following the standard plot, or if it's going to start doing its own thing. So I don't know. There's only so many The Boys comics anyway, so they potentially could veer off. But one thing I thought was hilarious, Charlie, the Scarlet Siren, or whatever her name is, that song she sang about apes was hilarious.
Well, I tell you, whatever pays the bills, right?
It's like Joe Joe Exotic from the Tiger King, where he sings that song.
Oh my God.
Love it.
Oh yeah, God, I haven't seen that. That Tiger King was such an explosion right when COVID hit. That was
just what I needed to
the world
stay
is
sane.
Awful. Everybody needs this, because the shit is just going to get worse. Oh my God.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was wild. So anyway, that takes us out of the Geek Easy. So Todd, it is time to flag down yet another gypsy cab. We got to get over to the airport, to Air Qantas, to get to the land down under. Yeah, that's right. It's time for the Thunderdome. The mutants are waiting. Let's go.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome.
Thank you, Tina. We're sitting in the Thunderdome, where the mutants have been gathered for a topic or game to be entertained. And this week, the topic is really interesting because, Charlie, you and I were talking, I think this could be interesting, because what piqued the topic this week was the fact that Top Gun, essentially the first movie, was inspired by an article that was written many, many years ago that was all about the school at Miramar called Top Gun. And they essentially got they licensed the article for the movie.
The film, written by a guy named Jim Cash, professor at Michigan State University. So Top Gun itself sprung from our alma mater. Don't know if you knew that.
That is fantastic. Well, apparently the article is from 1983. Inspired, they had licensed the rights to it, but apparently they expired. So essentially, the family of the author is suing Paramount. You know, what's the best time to sue someone? When they have their biggest success ever. And they're saying, oh, your rights expires, now we're going to sue you. Now, my question is, because I'm assuming the article was more about factual, like what the school is like. It wasn't a fictional story of a pilot named Maverick, and they had licensed the story. It was more like they used information to inform getting technical.
Right. And again,
the feel right.
The film, the second film, had Top Gun was the setting, but it was not the setting was not pivotal to the plot.
It was the tech and everything else has changed too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because the first film was about Maverick and his struggle, and I got to get through, and I'm in competition, and blah blah, and I'm versus myself. Where in this, it's like he's still whatever, but he has to train down these raw pilots to take on this mission from this. And I always love in Top Gun how we never find out who the villains are, because obviously they want to be able to show it in whatever country it is that they say the villains are. So, but yeah, it was very different. But yeah, your point being made, there's always a loophole, and you always go after where you can find the bugs.
Exactly. And I think they can probably get around this pretty easily with their $1 million lawyers to say, you know what, we already had something to base it off of with the characters we created, the storyline we created. It just happened to be at the school, and we didn't use anything from your article to make this movie. And they still had the right until a year after it was released. So, I mean, I don't know. It just seems weird. But I mean, people should be able to sue, but this one just seems a little suspect. But the reason why we did this is because we're going to talk about weird lawsuits in Hollywood, Hollyweird, or in geek media. So this was the one that really tipped me off of this topic. And Charlie, so I got some other ones. And it was funny because one of the people that really likes to get sued is Todd McFarlane.
He does. He shows up twice in your list. I was right. It ends with an E, not a D.
I fixed it. Oh, no, I fixed it.
You fixed it after I said, oh, Todd, I tell you.
Was the E? Well, let's see, folks, I'm raising the curtain. We put links to things and we rename them. One was Todd McFarlane and one was Todd McFarlane. Todd, I was right half of the time, Charlie.
If I can get you before the time that both of us die to admit on the first pass that you screwed up, I will be a very happy man.
I got the first one wrong. I got the first one right. I had the other one right.
Like when we played 20 questions and I beat you, you're like, well, that's not fair. You're a take the ball in the bat and go home kind of guy.
No, I admit it. I got the first one wrong. I got the second one right.
Okay. All right. So anyway, I'm not a huge fan of Spawn, but of course I remember the fun movie. But yeah, Todd McFarlane and Neil Gaiman were the creators / co-creators, but apparently it looks like over 20 years they were fighting each other in court to figure out who is the creator and who could get the big bucks. So you know more about this than me. So
Todd McFarlane, famous artist, Spider-Man, well known for that, went off and became a founder of Image, created the Spawn comic book. So an Image was all about creator rights. And Todd McFarlane brought on a lot of talent to collaborate on Spawn, and they would create characters for it. Well, apparently Todd McFarlane forgot that he was supposed to allow these characters to either be partially owned or whatever. He made a deal to say, oh, you own these characters, even though they appear in the book. Well, Todd McFarlane created the character of Angela, the angel. And apparently Todd McFarlane essentially didn't live up to his word and essentially said, no, you don't own these, Neil. They're mine. They're part of Spawn. You were paid for work. So it's almost like he became Marvel. He became the big bad. So he was sued by Neil Gaiman to get the rights back. And, Frank Miller also did some of the work on there. Alan Moore, Dave Sim, a bunch of these guys all worked with McFarlane on different issues. So essentially he created Angela Coglistrio and Medieval Spawn. And apparently after that deal, they had an original deal, it fell through. Then McFarlane said, nope, but they're all mine. Go and, hit rocks. That eventually fell through. And Todd McFarlane lost the lawsuit. And guess who now is part of the Marvel universe?
That would be Angela, because I had a figure for the longest time. Yeah, I think it was when I got rid of. But yeah, it was a pretty cool figure, pretty cool character. Very 90s looking character.
Oh, yeah. Yes. So that's the first time Todd kind of, well, not the first time, but one of the most famous ones, because it was kind of like he was just, you don't want to live long enough to become the villain, and he became the villain in this case. So Todd's an odd guy. But what else he did was he essentially created a character in Spawn called Anthony Twistelli, who was a mobster in Spawn. And
Tony Twist.
Exactly. Well, unfortunately, Todd's Canadian, so he really likes the NHL. A hockey player named Tony Twist said, hey, you can't make a character like me who's now a killer and a mob boss. I'm suing you. And Todd McFarlane said, oh, I can do whatever I want because it's,
he says it was protected under the First Amendment, but he's a Canadian.
Well, I'm assuming he operates in the U.S., so he gets to operate in U.S. law. So, essentially they said, no, you can't put someone in your comic and do whatever you would like with them unless they are like a public figure in regards to like a politician. I think you can't use athletes. Like you couldn't put Michael Jordan in your Star Trek story, Charlie, and then publish and say Michael Jordan, Star Captain.
He's a Klingon.
Exactly. Yeah. So eventually, and he has a big toy company. So it was funny. He said he only had $683,000. I mean, like, that's not a lot for Todd McFarlane. But yeah, he's kind of crazy guy. And essentially they did settle, lost the lawsuit, and $15 million went to Tony Twist.
Oh boy. Yeah. And so, this is an article from back in 2004, and it looks like this. Yeah. He had to file Chapter 11 to get away from all of his debtors. And it's kind of ugly stuff for him back then. But that was a long time ago. And like you said,
just make more toys, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, and then, your next list is movies that got sued for crazy reasons. Oh my God. Titanic, Harry Potter, The Hangover. Oh my God.
Some of these are interesting. Yeah. So the movie Yesterday, which you saw, Charlie, full of Beatles hits, of course. And two fans have taken a $5 million lawsuit against the studio as the film didn't include Ana de Armas in the final cut, in spite of her name being in the cast list.
And being used in promotional material. So that's
$5 million. You didn't put her in the film that I paid $8 to see. So I'm suing you for $5 million. False advertising?
Oh,
really?
Boy.
I can do that? Like when they put scenes in the trailer that aren't actually in the movie?
Oh my God. It's a group called the Wind Sisters sued and tried to block the release of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, as the band in the film's Yule Ball were called
Weird
the
Sisters.
Weird Sisters. Okay. It didn't go the band's way, and they had to pay Warner's legal fees. Oh, wow. Ouch.
Ooh, that is a rough one, yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's why you don't hear much about it. So, Titanic. A Florida man sued the movie for $300 million, as he believed Jack Dawson was based on his life.
But he's not. But Jack died. How can it be?
Exactly.
Wait, you're alive.
It was based
didn't
on
die?
parts of my life. Parts of my life. So anyway,
was he on the Titanic and he survived, and he gave Rose a diamond?
He was. It was the other way around. He drowned Rose, and then he floated on the.
So he actually was Rose.
The wood. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness!
In The Hangover 2, a tattoo artist tried to sue the movie because they claimed the tattoo that Mike Tyson had was based on his design, and the lawsuit settled out of court, and the tattoo got to stay in the film. I assume the guy got the money.
Stu. what's his name? In The Office. Who always say
Ed Helms.
Ed Helms, yeah, Stu, yeah. And apparently it was based on Mike Tyson's tattoo.
Oh my goodness,
that's so weird. I guess so. Yeah, makes sense.
All right,
we've got a Nick Cage one, Charlie. Apparently. Yes, the movie Knowing, apparently it made more headlines for its lawsuit than its box office numbers. A tech company sued the film, claiming it infringed on its pending patent. In the film, Cage's character encrypts a string of numbers using a code that matches the one in the patent application.
That would be so easy to avoid. Come on.
Wait, they didn't do research for a Nick Cage movie?
Oh boy, I can't believe Nick Cage didn't do the research himself, but it doesn't have to do with bees and catching things on fire and faces off. I guess it's just really not for him. The movie Drive, woman decided to sue the makers of Drive for false advertising as based on the trailer. She was expecting a movie along the lines of Fast and Furious. She argued that there wasn't enough driving in the film. The lawsuit, unsurprisingly, was unsuccessful. Oh, man.
False advertising. You can't sue for false advertising in a movie.
I know.
It's like looking at a cover of a comic and say, that didn't happen in the comic.
Yeah, like the Superman comic that kicked off this issue. Superman didn't take over the world. And then finally, The Dark Knight, this one, there's a city in Turkey called Batman, and the mayor decided to sue The Dark Knight as there is only one famous Batman in the world, and that is his city, and he was incorrect.
Yes, that's so crazy. One last tragic lawsuit that happened. It was the making of the Twilight Zone film. Remember that? Yeah. It was that scene in Vietnam. There was a helicopter, a crash.
Yeah, John Landis. Yeah, John Landis.
Actor Vic Morrow and two children actors died on set. John Landis. It was crazy because he went to court and essentially was not found guilty of negligence because I believe he was a producer on the film too. Like essentially, if you're a producer, you're responsible for safety, all the things, kind of like the Alec Baldwin case. Right. I think that's going to. I'm assuming that's going to go on trial eventually because of somebody dying on set. And then we obviously had what happened to Brandon Lee, where he died on set. I'm not sure if anybody that actually went to court or not, but it's crazy. It's movies. People shouldn't die on making the movies.
Well, it's a little bit too real life. So anyway, wild, man. What a fun segment. This was one, I tell you, Todd never fails to come up with these kind of wacky ideas. So I enjoyed that. But with that, that's the end of the show. So friends, thank you as always for joining us. It's great to have you here. I have been Charlie Carden. You can find me over on Twitter at the C3. Spell it on out. I'm sharing fun memes and giving commentary and things of that nature. My lovely wife, April, and I also run the USS Grant Petoskey, the Michigan chapter of the Starfleet International Fan Club. You can find us on all socials and at the website of the same name. I also do my best to fill up the content over at our Secret Friends Unite Facebook page. So if you see it very often, it's me and my wonderful ability to future schedule things before I have to go to work that day. But that's me. Todd, what about you?
You can follow me at Toxtra on Twitter, where I tweet about video games and various things that make me laugh. And by the way, folks, go on Twitter and follow at the Canardian, but just follow him so you can really put some really good gifs on when he makes a bad dad joke, because they're getting out of control, folks. They are out of control.
We're talking about an international intervention here.
It's really bad. Yeah, he needs some help. Yeah. But also check out our YouTube page. Videos are going up all the time. 2
subscribers away from hitting 100.
Please subscribe. Comment on the video. Leave us a comment. We'll comment back at you. And let us know. What else you'd like to see. Potentially put some more content up there. So that is it for me. Thanks for joining us, folks.
Got it. Yes, as always, I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
In a truck.
I guess he didn't have the high ground.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow @SecretFriendsU on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.